Hey Pisces, it's Romy. Welcome to my channel. This is your July 2021 soul story. If you're new, then this is a general reading for sun, rising and moon. And if you are returning, then welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm going to open up your reading this month with an energy guide from the new painted rune deck. Of course, this form of divination, runic symbols, is traditionally found on stones and originated from a Germanic alphabet and then used by the Nordic culture with rune casters who wanted to bring forth wisdom and help us to connect to our higher self. And Sophie from the Painted Tarot has brought it to life with figures, and she's really infused this sense of courage and heart and connecting to our inner warrior and really understanding this relationship that we have to fear and becoming fearless in our own life. And I love this energy as we move into July, which is going to feel like one of these experiences where we are under pressure, but from that pressure so much shining diamond energy, so much alchemy and gold is going to be revealed for us. So you have Wunjo as your energy guide from the rune deck, and from a tarot perspective this links into the energy of the sun, the Three of Cups, the Nine of Cups, Temperance, and it's really bringing about this sense of joy, like inner joy, this access to that inner well and light that helps you feel like you're coming home to yourself. It's a really beautiful energy guide to have. And you know, it makes sense to me because as I was linking into your sign for this month, Pisces, there was this beautiful wording that was coming through about it being fierce and tender. And I think the recognition of what is in your inner well right now, what it is by way of the emotional energy. There's like access to so much like infinite information about what's about to come next for you. And Wunjo is this gorgeous runic guide who's going to be helping you to navigate through the next few weeks, is orientating your thoughts and your mind and your soul and your spiritual energy towards everything that is meant to be positive, expansive, uplifting, and you know, opening things up for you. So I think it's a really beautiful message to kind of begin this July reading for you. So of course, water energy in Cancer season speaks your language, and you're going to feel at home in this emotive energy vibe. We've got a new moon in Cancer coming in on the 9th of the month, and it's really going to help you to reflect and start to consider where you want to intentionally start to make some changes and put new things into motion. It is a month where we don't want you to leave anything to chance, and we want you to take control, and at the same time we open up with the energy of the wheel, which is really indicating that there are some very fated, synchronistic, even serendipitous events that are scheduled to arrive for you through the course of this month. Now for me, this is beautifully aligning with the fact that Jupiter is in your sign. Now it is going to dip back into Aquarius, but not right until the end of the month on the 28th, and so all the way through this first part of July, you're still getting the opportunity to really understand what Jupiter's influence in your life pathways is going to be delivering. And, you know, particularly when it moves direct again and back into your sign in December through the first part of next year, you're set to see expansion in really beautiful ways. And there is something deeply, deeply healing about Jupiter and Piscean energy. And so from your spiritual self and that spiritual journey that you're on, I think you're set to see the wheel coming in and really like turning something into like a completely new chapter. It's a new cycle that wants to be opened up. And there is this sort of opportunistic aspect of the wheel that says, you know, are you giving yourself permission to say yes? This is really a time where it needs to be like, as we said with the fierce and tender, a kind of fierce owning that this is your life and it is time to kind of take control and take charge, but at the same time being gentle and tender with yourself as you still may be navigating through deeper healing waters. And the more that you can hold yourself with kind of care and reverence in the process, the more I think you're really going to be able to welcome some of these events with like a fresh perspective and a new openness in both heart and mind. And, when I'm looking at what's kind of emerging astrologically through the month of July, we do have some of these short, sharp bursts that are kind of jolting us awake. And they can feel like they're backing us into a corner or putting us under some sort of pressure in some way. And maybe the wheel is going to be delivering some unexpected events in that situation. But it's also inviting like an unlocking of this deeper access of wisdom and healing that's going to come forth as you see how you're going to respond in this moment. So there's deep, deep medicine. And the other thing to pay attention to is that Chiron is activated strongly this month. In the beginning, both on the 2nd and the 7th, it's making really sweet trines with Mars and Venus, meaning that where you have been focusing on dealing with inner wounds and trying to come to terms with things in your life, you're going to start to see some beautiful instant results of that. And the Hermit is really holding a lantern, shining a light on those aspects and giving you the opportunity to understand how you fill that well back up within you. So if it's been feeling a little vacant or void, or it's drained because of different circumstances or challenges that you may have been through, there's this beautiful cathartic healing energy that's shifting things really powerfully. So expansion in the heart energy is strong. Now, Chiron is going to move retrograde in Aries on the 15th, and so there is a requirement to confront your inner feelings. And again, the Hermit is an invitation to do that. Of course, this links into the energy of Virgo, and Mars will be moving into the sign of Virgo again, though much later in the month. But there's something about taking care of, like, Virgo is the caretaker sign, the steward of taking the opportunity to really look after people. But you also need to see where that might have been causing some self-abandonment in your life. And there's maybe opportunities that are coming your way that you want to say yes to, or you feel drawn towards, and perhaps you're in situations where you feel split, or that your energy is feeling guilty or wondering how you can make that work. And what I want to say in relation to that is a really interesting astrological synergy with both Venus and Mars in the sign of Leo, and they're coming conjunct around the 13th of the month. And so just after that new moon in Cancer and Mercury moving into Cancer after its long stay in Gemini with that crazy retrograde that had you super scattered, so now things are opening back up. And as they come into synergy, it's almost like where you have situations where you think, I don't know how that could ever happen. Like, it's black and white. It's never going to merge. It's never going to come together. These are people that don't like each other. These are situations that are too different. And what that might have resulted in the past, or, your experience right now, is that you've had to split your energy in order to accommodate, to facilitate, to keep everybody happy. And so we have this moment this month where you do have situations that are meant for you and fated and showing up, that you are being given the opportunity then actually to get people and things on board and aligning in a way that you perhaps hadn't imagined, from a physical perspective and an emotional perspective, and really kind of thrusting you into this new energy that says, okay, it's possible. What's holding you back now? And so where you have even been putting those kind of excuses forward yourself because you've just thought there's no way that's ever going to work, watch the universe coming in with a little bit of that Jupiterian fate and taking away, removing some of those barriers and inviting you to step forward into this beautiful fire energy. And this is where the fierceness wants to come in this month, Now, when we talk about fierceness, we can talk about it also from a sense of having fierce self-compassion. And self-compassion, I think, is going to be absolutely fundamental to you being able to take care of yourself while you take care of business. We're in 5th house energy in Cancer, but then we move into that 6th house when we're into Leo season, which is about the rituals and the focus in and around your health and well-being, but also how you show up and take care of others in the process. Again, that link to Virgo energy coming up a little bit for you this month. And of course, that being your mirror, polar opposite, there's something of value to gain here. And self-compassion isn't a judgment, it's not an evaluation, it's relating to, wherever you are in the moment, and even where there are instances where you have crashed and burned, or life has literally knocked you on your ass. Like, this is still a time where you get to get back up and you find that fire and that resiliency and that inner spark that says, you know what, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to take this on, I'm going to find what it is within me to show up again and again and again. And that's the wisdom that the Hermit's going to bring to enable you to tap into this aspect of your energy. And my goodness, this Queen of Wands is going to fill that inner well back up, and it's going to give you this access to infinite energy. And so if you have especially been feeling really physically exhausted, Pisces, this is also a month where you should start to be able to recharge on multiple levels. It might have hit you spiritually with, real kind of energy drain. It might have been hitting you emotionally, just feeling really super weary with different circumstances that you've gone through or are dealing with, or even physically, if you've just been feeling constantly like you just want to sleep all the time or not getting that restful energy. So this is a time to really hold yourself with this beautiful sense of reverence. And like we said, with Wunjo coming in here, wanting to guide you towards the light and the sunshine and the joy, and delivering that sun energy so beautifully, but also wanting to bring a sense of balance through for you. It's really, really important. Now, the Queen of Wands is helping you to alchemize and to manifest. She's a beautiful timing energy. And of course, she links beautifully into Leo season as well, connecting into the fire energy of Aries and Sagittarius too. So maybe you will be dealing with somebody who has a spark in that way, or certainly the invitation in and around Leo season just to understand, I think, that even from a creative perspective, like, you can't use up your creativity, Pisces. It's like a never-ending well of energy that you can tap into, and that's really important. So if your sacral chakra especially has been feeling like a little bit low or muted or needs cleared, or you want to kind of access and connect back into that beautiful energy, which of course also impacts our vitality, our sexual energy, even our ability to connect into levels of abundance, in our scarcity stories for ourselves. So it's really important that you take the time to really link into your own auric field and your energy, and start to command things in a way that helps you to understand that there's deep medicine available to you. Remember, it's not just what you do in the world, but it's who you become in the process of that. Now, we've got the Seven of Swords coming through, and there is this sense of, dare I be this person? Like, dare I do this? And I'm almost feeling like a sense of guilt coming in. Guilt at sort of saying yes to these amazing opportunities. Guilt at maybe seeing that something's working out for you, and somebody that, is around you who you care about is maybe not going through such an easy time. Or feeling like you somehow don't trust the process, starting to look at things changing and thinking, yeah, but is it going to sustain? Are they going to be able to keep it up? Or is this situation just going to dissolve and dissipate? Of course, we've got Neptune retrograde in your sign, which is absolutely taking off those rose-tinted glasses. So the positive aspect of that outer planet doing this kind of a backspin right now is that it is going to give you a reality check. Yeah, so it will kind of bring to light, bring to the surface where you do have some trust issues, or some of those dreams and hopes and ambitions do need to be grounded and earthed a little bit more, and a plan put around them to be actualized in terms of how you're going to achieve it. But there's a fierceness and a tenderness that is required in that instance. Now, of course, the Seven of Swords on some level can indicate, yes, there are people around us that we don't want to trust, or that are up to no good, or that are kind of backbiting, and there's that aspect to the energy. But whenever I'm doing these soul stories, Pisces, this is about going a little bit deeper than that. We don't want to just have that surface kind of view and lens of the world, because everything that comes at us by way of projection or mirroring has something much deeper to teach us about ourselves. And what you're really learning is a deeper art of learning to trust yourself through some of the challenge and the difficulty, learning not to abandon yourself regardless of how people treat you, how they see you, what validation, respect they choose to give or not give to who you are, what you do, what you create, how you show up. And where this is being highlighted to you in different situations through the course of this month, like I said, it's going to be deep medicine, so take it in that way. Now, we have Uranus making some really positive aspects through this month as well, which means that we are going to have some good news coming your way. And again, there's a surprise element to that with the wheel coming through, which I love. You have the energy of strength coming in, because I think there is something about what's it going to take? What's it going to take to be able to actually allow this into my life? And I know that sounds really crazy because it's like, if there are good things happening and Wunjo is showing us over here, this is where the joy is, this is where the goodness is, this is how we find balance and soul soothing and celebration and all of the sweetness that we desire. It can take an inordinate amount of inner resolve and strength to say, you know what, I choose to direct myself over here. Because sometimes when we're going through the healing crisis or we're trying to do work on ourselves, there's like a daily kind of returning to like a trauma state, and it isn't always helpful because sometimes that trauma can continue to be healed in the background while we also give ourselves permission to actually find the joy and the beauty in moments and orientate ourselves towards celebrating and having that sense of bountiful play and laughter in our life. And so does that take a lot from us to be able to say, yes, I'm actually going to give myself a day off or an afternoon off or some time to just let it be? To just let it be so that I can be me in this present state, understanding that time is so rich and precious. That takes strength, and it takes some serious understanding of giving yourself the prioritization that you don't always have to kind of sit in that wounded energy, and that to be the story that is perpetuated all the time around you. I am a recovering this, I am dealing with that, there is this wound that sits there, and we're not trying to say bypass it. It's not about that. We're just saying that sometimes we have to lift ourselves up and out of that energy so that we can tap into where the light is streaming in our life. It's really important. I also feel, I suppose, on a more practical level, if you have or are set to go through an experience where you feel people have treated you unfairly, or you discover information, especially as we approach that full moon in Aquarius, remember, these full moons are bringing things to light, information and secrets to be revealed, and always it's about informing us, and it's about giving us the opportunity to say, okay, what do we now want to release? What do we want to let go of? What do we need to let go of based on what we are now being provided with? And yes, there's a level of stress that can also come in by way of that. But the Eight of Swords is so interesting. And I love that actually her headdress here has got all of the stars kind of shown here, because you're access to your own higher self, to that beautiful wisdom and knowing. And it's interesting because we have both the Hermit and the Eight of Swords, which are very inner reflective energies, and you are just kind of trying to come to terms with something, I believe, through the course of July, and perhaps with some of these stronger opposition and square energies that make you feel on some level, I suppose, that you're being backed into a corner with regards to something, and perhaps there's been agendas that you weren't prepared for or expecting. But at the same time, and you might be working on this on the internal, by the way, it's not always that these situations happen, around you. These are general readings, remember, Pisces. You have to take the influences that make sense to you and resonate with you on your timeline. But, the Eight of Swords is really this suggestion that we can free ourselves from this. Again, what is it going to take? It's going to take going inwards and saying, well, I have to be fierce and tender right now, and I have to understand that there's deep medicine that's emerging from this, and I have to start inner parenting myself. This has been coming up really strongly in all of the readings for July. It's like where you have felt pushed out, where you have felt like you've dealt with a deeper wound, where you've lacked the recognition, the support, the love, the respect, the nurturing. The more you can start to address these things from within and understand that you have the potential to start to be that self-compassionate way to you, then the more you'll start to attract in people that are wanting to mirror and see you and kind of restore your faith in many instances, in terms of some of the key relationships or the people that you surround yourself with and what can come from that, So yes, it's a little bit of a tricky time of kind of unraveling, I suppose, what is happening around you and what is happening within you. And maybe at times you're just feeling a little bit disorientated by that, because I do think there's just like so many energy shifts that are taking place. But at the same time, there's this intense recognition, I think, that's getting much more affirmative for you about what matters and what's important. And like we said, not leaving anything to chance this month. The more you can take control, the more you can elevate yourself above and beyond what feels illusionary by way of this conflict. And yes, there might be people who are having it out around you. Maybe you'll find yourself in the center of something, or maybe you'll feel the need to kind of speak out and it will spark a disagreement or an argument. But regardless, this aspect of challenge and conflict is just kind of part of the process of just like clearing out. There's just like a lot of clearing. Remember, we've still got kind of afterquake energy from the eclipses in the last few weeks and whatever that has revealed for you. And sometimes that sort of bump in the road energy that the five, I mean, they don't have huge influence and weight in the bigger scheme of things. And that's what you need to remember. Is it really worth my time and energy to sit in that space for longer than I need to? And like we said, it's not just what you do in the world and how you show up in the relationships and the things that are transforming. It's who you become. And I think if you can put your focus on that aspect of it, then I think that none of this will hold the same level of weight and power and influence that initially it might appear to as you make your way and traverse through the next few weeks. So of course, Leo season with that 6th house energy is fantastic for what can transpire in and around work opportunities for you. And we have the energy of the Emperor showing up. And again, this invitation to start to actualize some plans, put some strategies in place where you can take care of business, take care of resources, start to take charge again of what matters to you. But I also have this sense of people of influence being made available to you that can open doors. Remember, your runic guide Wunjo is absolutely connected to the energy of the sun here, the 9 of Cups. This is about you coming home to yourself. And so in that instance, as you start to shed the layers and kind of return to that place of power, then you're attracting in powerful people. And, powerful people can just be those who have an innate wisdom or able to hold themselves in a place of surety, nothing to prove here. The Emperor doesn't have anything to prove. He's earned this position that he now holds, and what he says people listen to. The choices and the actions that he takes, people know are going to come from a place of certainty, and that level of trust within yourself is going to be really symbolic. But I also have a sense that you're going to be coming up against trigger energies by way of perhaps father wounds, perhaps male authority figures, or people in power. And again, there's this invitation of like, where have you abandoned yourself? Where have you got issues of lack of trust? Where is there a sabotage that's going on here? And whatever is being kind of unearthed and brought up into the light, so to speak, has a tremendous capacity to give you a huge leveling up in growth. Sometimes we feel like we've got to be earning our stripes. We have to be working at something for years and years and years before we can make that shift and make that bounce. And you know what, the way that Spirit says is actually not always. Sometimes you can make that massive leap forward in an instant. And so there is the opportunity, I think, as well through the course of July for you, Pisces, to actually have some of those monumental leap forwards. And that might indicate that there is some big changes for you by way of your emotional foundation, your financial stability. And the Page of Swords comes in here with important news to communicate. Just sort of emerging out of the darkness here, and you are kind of coming back to life in some aspects, I think, through July. Even if you still feel a little bit battered and bruised in the process, like there's something, like we said, deeply expansive in the heart energy. But the Page of Swords is wanting to be curious, wanting to share information, wanting to connect people, wanting to have that beautiful opportunity to express oneself. And so anything that you want to communicate, you want to share, you want to put out there. July is a fantastic energy. Mercury now fully direct through, really after the first week, and it gives you that clear open sky to just say, okay, what do I need to put out there in the world, and use that beautiful new moon in Cancer in that water sign that is so in sync with you to kind of really seed that in properly. Now yes, you might be hearing news as well. and it might be in a more official capacity in some aspects. I kind of want to say to you at some level, Pisces, like don't always take, like, if it's a no, or if it's a restriction, or if it's a kind of dead end, I think there's going to be a little bit of a test here to say, okay, so how are you going to receive this news? Are you going to let it trigger and wound you, or are you just going to say, okay, that's what's been expressed momentarily in that energy, but it ain't my reality. I've already worked on this wound. It's not who I am. You know, my story around scarcity is expanding into something completely different. It's transforming into something that's beautiful and bountiful and joy-filled. And when I choose to move in that direction, I know there's going to be solutions and opportunities not only to revisit this, and I think you will be revisiting something and you'll get much more of a positive, certain response at that time, but also just to say that there are so many more ways to achieve things that I want in my life. It doesn't always have to be in that one pathway. And as you start to open yourself up more and more to the idea of that, then life starts to feel so much more full of possibility and potential. And there's beautiful luck that's coming in for you this month. I need you to keep your mind and your heart and your thoughts really orientated toward that. So I'm going to take a look and see what the Goddess card that is going to join this conversation wants to say. Okay, you have Phoebe. Messages. You are the channel. Synchronicity and messages are all around you. I really like that, because if I kind of place her here, she's like the beautiful synergy between the Page of Swords with the messages and the synchronicities with the Wheel of Fortune. And all of this water beautifully working with your sign. She's got a Piscean vibe around her beautifully, hasn't she? The waterfall is just like bringing in like new energy. There's new energy that's coming, and the water is crystal clear. So the clouds are in the background and we've moved away from this, okay? And you look kind of defiant here. There's a fierceness about this at the same time as this being a really etheric, beautiful, loving, supportive environment. Like I said, fierce and tender. And so as you understand the way that you tap into energy and to messages is transforming and opening up, and you're really ascending in beautiful new ways, there are going to be signs and there are going to be direct information that is going to make its way to you to give you that sense of reassurance, even though it's not really what you're looking for, because there is a determined quality that's coming through in this month I want you to tap into, because, you know, sometimes we have to recognize that our mind is like a journalist, you know, and we have to challenge some of the stories that it decides to come up with, and constantly kind of bring about opportunities to check the facts, you know, and you have to sort of feel that for yourself. Like, so much of what might be brought up this month could be very illusionary, and it just isn't representative of who you are. Remember, Wunjo is your guide here, hugely supportive, optimistic, expansive, energized guide that's going to bring you out of that exhaustion and that disenchanted feeling in areas of your life, and re-spark something really beautiful. So this is a general reading for July, Pisces. I hope that it resonates for you. If you want to join me for the extended, we're going to go ahead and pull a couple of cards just to answer a question that I might not have tapped into in the general reading. Remember, these are general, and you can find the link for these readings in the description box in the comment section. It's a way to support my channel, and I really appreciate the investment that you make if you are joining me and it's resonating. So I'm just also now going to clarify this main 9-card spread, just beginning with the Wheel of Fortune, the energy of the Two of Swords. A lot of inner contemplation going on here. Even the Two of Pentacles figure here looks like he's kind of lost in thought over something. 9 of Coins. This is what I mean. The riches that are available to you need to be accessed in new ways. You know, you feel the block and the kind of disruption in one vibe, but we have to, there's a way through this that you're not, a way through, you see, moving away from things. Got got a little bit of conflict around this like earth energy. Maybe this is a Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, where there's things that are coming to light that need to be addressed. I like this though. I mean, if the Seven of Swords is like lack of truth, then here we have it clarified and absolutely brought to light, and then the Star. Judgment showing up here. Major decision and life-changing events. They may have already transpired or they're about to land for you over the next few weeks. It's a lot of fire coming in there. Wow. Okay, Pisces, I am going to leave it there. If you'd like to join me for the extended, I look forward to carrying this conversation on there with you. Otherwise, I'm just going to wish you a beautiful month of July. You take good care of yourself. Bye for